Hey there, fellas. Alright, so I've got a car where the suspension is in, well, let me just say, a state of disarray. This quite obviously is a ball joint, and I've also got a bunch of bushings that have been destroyed. But I've also got 3D printer, and some TPU, thermopolyurethane plastic. You will see that we already have a polyurethane bushing in this one. There are plenty of people out there who love them. And so why don't we try and 3D print us some bushings out of that thermopolyurethane. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, so we've printed those bushings, well, components of them. Because, well, look, the big one is somewhat complex. The internal bit, here it is right here. In the middle, it's got this ball-shaped expansion. That's so it can move around. And what I have here are a couple of sleeves. All of that is good and well. They're a nice and tight fit. So all of this is ready. Now it's just a matter of getting everything assembled. Oh, and we need to figure out how we glue them in. Okay, we've 3D printed this bushing. Now we're going to try and secure it. The idea here would be to heat up this metal sleeve and place the bushing into it. This material has got really good adhesion. Sticks well to metal, among other things. And so hopefully this fuses to it nice and tight and holds on forever. Otherwise, we are not making a decent bushing that will work as well as it's supposed to. Here's the spare material we've left, which can actually easily be ripped off. No problem at all. So the cool thing is that the areas that touched the plastic, you can barely, you can't even cut it off. It is tightly stuck on there. It is properly fused together with the metal. So we've pulled the suspension off of this car right here. That's what we're printing the bushings for. But there is a slight issue in that this car is lacking a motor. You'd recall what it had before, and to make life easier for us, we've taken this lovely engine with a gearbox. We're in the process of installing this powertrain, as you can see. And there's the matter of the engine mounts. As we all know, those are also elastic, but we've got that 3D printer. We can use it to print some out, which we can proceed to. We can try them out as well, yeah. We'll make them an arbitrary shape to make things a bit more interesting. And once we get them installed, they're of course under considerable stress when the engine is trying to twist and turn, because they're what's holding the engine in. Alright, we're also going to be testing some engine mounts, let's go! So to keep it in place, this is going to be the upper plate, the one that'll get bolted up to the engine. And this one is going to connect to one of the frame rails. There's the plate. The retainers are going to go on like this. As for how they'll connect to the plate, I see, that's an excellent idea. And do the same thing up top. Just make a mirror image. That way we can take it apart to replace it. Ideally, we want the engine to sit inside the engine bay with no vibrations getting transferred to the body. We'd better try and make... Okay, we've drawn everything up. I will now proceed to prepare the plate that connects the engine to the mount, and the one between the mount and the frame rail. Okay, we've made some bushings and they've turned out good. We've had everything printed out. And the really interesting thing is that this thermopolyurethane, it starts to melt when it gets heated up. And so we were able to heat up the metal bits and fuse everything together. They are stuck very tightly to each other, which is exactly what we wanted. Also, we've made sway bar bushings, some ball joints. Also, this here dust cover for the ladder. Also, for the engine that was not meant to be in this car, we've made some nifty engine mounts. Here they are. Also, on one of the mounts, you'll notice that we used that 3D printer of ours to do a bit of laser etching. And it just looks so sick, I mean. But now it's all a matter of getting everything installed and pressed in. Get all of it into the car and go out to do some testing. Let's go. When you come up to the car and take a look at all of our 3D printed suspension parts, you will see that they do very much look like poly bits, but store-bought ones. Nothing about them says that they've been 3D printed. Okay, the suspension links are on there, it's all good. Here you'll see the lower suspension arm bushings, they're a nice fit. The ball joint is on, that's all fantastic. The dust cover is doing its thing. It is slightly contorted, but that's how it's supposed to function. As for the engine mounts, well, you'll notice that one of them is pushed down on, while the other one gets pulled. You do have the engine twisting all the time, and so once we got the engine in and lowered it, you can see that engine mount is doing a very good job. It's also a bit twisted, but that's what engine mounts are there for everything to sit in place very well. The sway bar bushings are also in position. It's too early to tell. We just put them into place, bolted them down, and that's it. They're tightly holding the sway bar in place. And now, it is high time to go for a drive. See how this thing behaves on the move. Because the noises it used to make, I mean, you saw what condition that ball joint was in. It was making some nasty noises. But let's go for a drive and see what has changed. Let's go. Okay, the car is down. Let's start the engine. And before we drive anywhere, let's see how the mounts are going to behave. I mean, this is pretty good. Barely any vibrations making it to the body. It works, take a look at that. You would have noticed the engine tilting slightly, which tells us that the engine mounts work. The ones that we 3D printed, and that is a very good thing. I can barely feel any vibration, just like on stock mounts. So yeah, enough talk, let's go do a bit of durability testing. Okay, engine is running. And is this thing going to drive with a lot engine? Of course it will. Holy cow, those brakes! First bumps and we're doing well. It's quiet in here, nothing rattling. And that's with the sound deadening removed. This is very nice. Let's drive around and look for some more imperfections. Engine is struggling, but we are moving. Yeah, there we are. I guess it's not even my sense, but the actual reality of the situation. The car feels quite a bit stiffer. That might be down to the weight of the engine. The car now weighs less, and as a result, the ride has become harsher. But hey, the important thing is that everything works. I don't know, I just think that it's very nice when you don't have any knocks in the suspension of your car. That is always nice. Now, I was expecting the thermopolyurethane material that we used, I mean, it looks quite a bit more rigid. And not even looks, it actually is more rigid than the rubber they typically use to make bushings. No sort of knocking or chatter can be heard coming from the suspension, which is very good. It's just behaving like a fully functional suspension. The engine does feel a bit down on power, I mean. This is no 2J. It's just a homely 1.5-liter Lada engine. After driving around, I came back to the garage, and looking at the suspension arm, for which we printed a ball joint as well as a dust cover, that we were actually concerned about, but amazingly it held up just fine. It's nice and soft. And honestly, we didn't have a whole lot of trust in it. We thought it wouldn't last long, But so far it looks perfectly fine. That's all good and well. The engine mounts, nothing wrong with them at all, as if they were freshly installed. And the interesting thing is that, like I said, they weren't transferring any vibrations to the body. And that is nice. They absorb the engine's vibration and they hold it in place. What else do we got? Oh. Wasn't knocking, though. Now, the sway bar bushing doesn't have a tab to lock it, and this one slipped out. What about the other one? On this side, it's the same picture. Yeah, it has actually popped all the way out. Amazing that there wasn't any chatter. That tells me that most likely it slid out somewhere nearby the garage. But the rest of the bushings seem to be in place, though I can't really see them from here. But since these did do their thing, let's get this car onto a lift, check and see how the rest of the bushings are feeling, and also, you'll recall that we have a nifty car shaker. And why don't we put the car onto it? Simply driving around is pretty pointless, waiting for those bushes to fall apart. But we'll test them on our lovely shaker, and work out how good a job we've done printing bushings on that nifty 3D printer. Let's go. So look, the car is on the shaker. We're going to get the sway bar bushings back into position and start up the shaker. Allow it to shake away and hook the car up. We've given this thing a good thrashing. It's been on here for a while, and what can I tell you? All of the elements that were rubbing, well, there is lube in there, but some parts were rubbing on metal. Everything has gotten nice and warm. I totally forgot that the shocks get very hot. But let's have a look at what's going on underneath here. Here's the situation. The upper ball joint has fared well. The dust cover is in perfect shape. Sway bar bushings, they've held up incredibly well. Engine mounts. There was plenty of vibration, and though the engine wasn't creating any load of its own, something had to hold it in. That would be the engine mounts, and they look exactly the same as they did. The bushings we've made for these lower suspension links also seem to be in good shape. However, there is one thing to note. The sleeve we fused this one to... I mean to say not the sleeve, but the polyurethane that we baked in separated from the sleeve. It unstuck itself. It wasn't able to stay stuck on. But the material itself, this TPU, is very much intact. It's not torn apart, nothing is wrong with it. So it's looking pretty good, and that is so very nice. You see, this opens up the possibility for all of us. I mean, in recent times, it has been getting hard to find parts for certain cars, particularly suspension parts, bushings and such. It has gotten either expensive or outright impossible. So keep this one in mind. Try this out, feel free to experiment. As long as you're able to figure out how to properly stick or fuse the metal and the poly together, assuming the bushing has got an outer sleeve. It's a problem that you can solve if you give it enough thought. But overall, the plastic has done a terrific job, and that is just lovely. And so those are the results. We'll keep these parts on the car for the time being, and if something does happen, follow us on Telegram, and if something actually does, then we'll show it to you. But in the end, we found a great method for making suspension bushings, 3D printing them. And if you happen to run into any issues, then feel free to go this route. If you have any other awesome solutions, then let us know. But that's it for this video. Catch you guys later.